Hey everybody, time for me to do another album ranking, and this time I'm going to be covering the discography of a band that just within the last year I've done a complete 180 on. Oasis is a band that when they were actually out, and I mean I know they're back together now, but when they were putting out their studio albums, particularly in the 90s, I heard some of the stuff on the radio. I had What's the Story, Morning Glory on CD, and The Master Plan on CD, and that's about as far as I got. And I just didn't pay attention to any of their other music, and I just wasn't a huge fan. I didn't bother trying to get into, Be Here Now or any of the albums that they put out in the 2000s. They just kind of flew off my radar. But a lot of people that I respect in the vinyl community are Oasis fans, particularly Beatle fans in the vinyl community tend to be Oasis fans as well. So I'm kind of jumping on that train a little bit late, but I thought I would make amends by finally doing an Oasis video. And so right now I'm going to be covering their discography from my favorite to least favorite. I'm not saying it's the best to the worst. In any case, I like all the Oasis albums, I really do. I'm not going to be showing The Master Plan just because it's a collection of B-sides, not really a true studio album. So I'm just going to be covering their 7 studio albums proper. My favorite is going to be definitely Maybe. I love everything on here. And the one thing about Oasis is, particularly because I wasn't familiar with a lot of their more recent catalog, and by recent, I mean like 2000 up through when they broke up in 2009. And so I kind of expected, it's going to be a slog because a lot of the new music that I discover tends to sound the same, and I'm not going to be able to differentiate between tracks. That was my fear anyway. But Noel Gallagher is such a master at writing hooks, and nowhere is that more evident than on their debut album, definitely Maybe. This has Live Forever, which most people heard back in the 90s, but I love Rock and Roll Star. Shaker Maker is great, very trippy, kind of psychedelic. Columbia is fantastic, and Supersonic is another great. It's hard rock, but yeah, it's alternative, it's poppy. Definitely you can tell the Beatles influence here. But I can't believe I never discovered this. I'd only heard Live Forever, but even when I bought What's the Story, Morning Glory, I never went back to this one for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't justify why I didn't, but I really love this album. It holds together great. There's not a weak moment on it. Number 1 and number 2, I really debated, should this have been number 1? And it's probably no secret. What's the Story, Morning Glory? On any given day, this might be the one that jumps over into the number 1 position. I mean, you got 90s anthems on here. Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, and Champagne Supernova. I mean, those tracks in and of itself, if they had broken up after this album, they still would be revered as a great band. And it's very heavy. If you like hard rock, I mean, that's the thing. It's not grunge, and yet it's got a lot of the elements of grunge. It's just got that British kind of Beatles spin on it. Roll With It is great. Hey Now, Hello. I even love, She's Electric, which they say kind of borrows the melody of With a Little Help from My Friends. I'm not so sure I hear it. I mean, yeah, I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I love She's Electric because it is very poppy, very kind of mid-60s psychedelic. But everything on here, it just holds together so great as an album. So that's going to be my number 2. Number 3, I'm going to jump ahead into the mid-2000s for Don't Believe the Truth. And I really fell in love with this album the instant that I bought it. Hadn't heard a single song on it. Kind of, I guess, a blind buy, so to speak. But Turn Up the Sun could have been, it's like a great kind of trippy flower power kind of anthem. Come on, turn up the sound, turn it up for everyone. Love one another. Mucky Fingers is very aggressive, and I guess Noel Gallagher He wanted that to be the lead-off single. I don't think it was a single, though. It doesn't sound like a single to me, but it's very aggressive, but it's also very catchy. I think Lila was a single off of here, which is kind of a nice, very cheerful, very much kind of a, I don't know, a nice Beatlesque kind of love song. Love Like a Bomb is great. Not really too much. It's one of those songs that it doesn't need drums on at all. Just the rhythm section alone is great. The Importance of Being Idle is a top 10 Oasis song for me. And for most people, it's not going to strike you as like a tremendous song. But I love the vocal hook on here. It's very much a song either Paul McCartney or John Lennon could have written. It's kind of got that whole 1966, Ray Davies as well. It kind of strikes me as a song like it's very melodic, very poppy and catchy. I could very much have seen Ray Davies writing a track like that.
I sold my soul for the second time, 'cause the night don't pay me. I bet my landlord for some more time, but he said, son, the bills are waiting. My best friend called me the other night. He said, man, are you crazy? The girlfriend told me to get a life. She said, boy, are you lazy?
The Meaning of Soul is great. Guess God Thinks I'm Able is another very cool rocker here, but a really solid album. If you're into Oasis and you haven't kind of dived past their 90s work, I would recommend starting here. That's my number 3. Number 4 is their last proper studio album, Dig Out Your Soul, and I really like this one. This is really kind of their Abbey Road in that it's a high quality. Every track on here is great, and they went out with a bang. Like, they didn't limp away into obscurity with this. They weren't burned out. This is just, I was just listening to this today and just kind of blown away how strong and how underappreciated an album it is. When people show Oasis, I never see them showing this one for whatever reason, but Bag It Up is great.
Gold and silver and sunshine is rising up. Pour yourself another cup of late grey. Take my hand in the meantime. When you've had enough, you'll find me on the end of the runway, babe.
The turning, and it's not, they've kind of moved away from every song having like a heavy guitar on it. There's a lot of different textures. There's some slower songs here, some more ambient kind of tracks. Waiting for the Rapture is very cool, very kind of thumping sort of rhythm there. The Shock of the Lightning is great. I'm Out of Time is a very cool introspective kind of a song. Falling Down is great, but I just love it because it's so different from even the couple of albums that came before, and it feels like they're continuing to grow. They were continuing. Noel Gallagher's songwriting was continuing to evolve, and so it's kind of a shame. Just like Abbey Road was a shame. Like, why couldn't we have had more Beatles after that? But I do really dig this one. So that's my number 5. No, I'm sorry, that's my number 4. This is my number 5, Heathen Chemistry. And I just want to say, I saw them on this tour, actually, even though they Ryan Adams was opening for them, and my wife got me tickets. I think it was for my birthday. So I did see them on this tour, but I was more excited to see the opening act, Ryan Adams, and how the tables have turned. Like right now, I don't think I have like 2 CDs from Ryan Adams, and now I'm full in on Oasis. But I do remember liking the concert, but little did I know that it would be their last tour for a very long time. But anyway, back to this one, Heathen Chemistry. I love this one too. And the Hindu Times, Oasis has some of the greatest opening tracks, and the Hindu Times is no exception. Force of Nature. I freaking love Force of Nature.
Yeah, I feel like the force of nature make you sing
every song has a hook. That's the amazing thing. Is yeah, they're loud, they're aggressive, but there's always the hook. The hook that draws you in, and particularly for a new album. And, I bought like Oasis's entire catalog just within the last year. And when I'm picking up a new one, I expect, at least one or two of these albums is going to be a grower where I'm going to have to listen to it a couple times before these songs really catch on. But no, with these, it was like immediate. All of these have hooks that grab you and make the song memorable. But I love Force of Nature, Hung in a Bad Place. Your Stop Crying Your Heart Out is amazing. Songbird, just a really, really solid album. I love 2000 Oasis just as much as I like the 1990s Oasis, believe it or not, because these are very strong albums. There's not a single weak album in their catalog, much to my surprise, because I really thought, like, as I got deeper into their catalog, there's going to be a dud somewhere. Like, not all these albums can possibly land, but I find pretty consistently, there's maybe one track on each of these albums that I don't particularly care for, but really like this one, but it's got to fall somewhere. But Heathen Chemistry, another really rewarding listen. And then some people might be shocked that I ranked this one so low. This was 1997's Be Here Now. And yeah, it is kind of a jumbled mess. They were heavily into cocaine. They were kind of stoned out of their mind, high during most of the recording sessions. And this was supposed to be the album that solidified their status as the 1990s version of the Beatles, where they had that staying power. They were going to be around forever. Like, the sky was the limit. People were going to talk about them in the same breath as the Beatles. And this came out. It wasn't a bad album, but it just did not reach, the heights in terms of, hit singles, radio-friendly tracks, anthems. About the only anthem you have on here is All Around the World, and it goes on a little bit too long. It's like a 7-minute track. They could have condensed it down a little bit more. But, that's the whole, I think, the downside of, recording everything on cocaine is that the excesses are very apparent here. But there's some cool tracks, like Magic Pie definitely has a Beatles influence. The Girl in the Dirty Shirt, I love that one. My Big Mouth, definitely. Liam Gallagher, truer words were never sang by a lead singer. But yeah, it's a lot to take in. There are some people who consider this their favorite Oasis album, but to me, I think the production could have been a little clearer. That's my biggest complaint, I guess, with here. It's not the songs. The songs are solid. It's just everything, like they're trying to pack so much into each song that it just gets a little bit swallowed up, and you can't appreciate some of the nuances. Like on the opening track, do you know what I mean? Great song. They just did a remix of it for the anniversary version of it, where you can actually hear it and appreciate it a bit more. There's like so many layered guitar parts on here. It's hard to distinguish sometimes. So unfortunately, the production does this album a little bit of a disservice, but still like it. It just falls a little bit near the bottom for me. And then at the bottom, and not to say this is a bad album or a weak album, but it's just one that, I haven't connected with as much as I have the other ones. Obviously, it's Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, Fucking in the Bushes. What a way to start off the album too, where you've got it's by and large an instrumental. You've got some snippets of different speeches or like audio. I don't think necessarily interviews, but it's just sort of like audio verite stuff. Hence the name of it. There's somebody is talking about these kids fucking in the bushes. So it's just kind of a very experimental track to lead off the album, the first album of the 2000s. This was released in 2000, 3 years, which was a huge gap between Be Here Now and what people were like hungry for a follow-up. But in that time, unfortunately, they lost a lot of their momentum, a lot of their popularity. This did debut at number one, even though it had been a 3-year gap. They did release the Master Plan in 1998, but it wasn't a true studio album. But there was, 2 years without an Oasis album. They lost 2 of their members also, and so it was kind of a new band. They still had Alan White on guitar, and obviously Noel and Liam. But Bonehead was gone, and I can't remember the other guy's name. So you had kind of a new rhythm section there. Go Let It Out is great. Roll It Over. I love Roll It Over. It's the last track on the album, and I feel like it's, all around the world was sort of like the big anthem on the album before, but this is so much. Roll It Over is so much better. Where Did It All Go Wrong? A little bit of autobiographical, I think, introspection from Noel Gallagher about, we were the biggest band in the world and how did we kind of let it slip away. Little James was the first songwriting credit to Liam Gallagher, which was written for, he was dating Patsy Kensit at the time, and she had a young son who he kind of like adopted as his own, and so he wrote it for him. But Gas Panic is great. I love Put Your Money Where Your Mouth. People said, oh, that's a disposable track, but I don't care. It's like kind of heavy, a little bit punkish, but I like that one. So very solid album. I'm not knocking it, putting it at the bottom, but one album's got to be there at the bottom. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little installment in my Let's Rank the Albums. If you're an Oasis fan, where do you rank all the albums? Interested to hear your opinion. Hope you're doing great. And take care.
I just play the songs, and if it turns people on, if it sends them a bit potty and that, and if it makes them feel like this and a little bit like that, then fine.